A reading from Jeremiah 17, beginning at the 5th verse. Thus says the Lord, Cursed is the man who trusts in man, and makes flesh his strength, whose heart turns away from the Lord. He is like a shrub in the desert, and shall not see any good come. He shall dwell in the parched places of the wilderness, in an uninhabited salt land. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, whose trust is the Lord. He is like a tree planted by water, that sends out its roots by the stream, and does not fear when heat comes. For its leaves remain green, and is not anxious in the year of drought, for it does not cease to bear fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately sick. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart and test the mind, to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds. There's some pretty sharp and stark imagery here in this passage, talking about rootedness, talking about trees, talking about shrubs in parched lands and the rest of it. And we are very fortunate to live here in this green and pleasant land, that we don't really have any parched areas. But nonetheless, the imagery is still there. Go out onto Dartmoor or Exmoor or up into parts of the Highlands, and you will find these great barren wastes with a few shrubs on them, and that's about it. Walk down to the River Wye, and then you will see large lush trees down there, because their roots are drawing up the water. And so the question that Jeremiah is putting in this passage is in many ways a simple one. Spiritually speaking, where do you put down your roots? Where is your trust? Where do you find that sense of meaning? Who do you trust to give you guidance in all of this? Where are your roots? Are your roots down in the BBC or down in the Telegraph or in the Guardian or the Times? Perhaps your roots are down in the stockbroker who makes so many promises. Perhaps your roots are down in the GP and the surgeon. Because in the end, trust is at the centre of sanity when it comes to living. We have to trust at times other people, but we need to make sure that that trust is well placed. If we don't trust in that way, well, we just have paranoia and inaction. So the question is important. Who do you trust? Where do you place your trust? Where are your roots? Now, the great claim of Christianity, and we see it here in Jeremiah, is that all human beings are flawed in some way. The heart is, to quote the passage, desperately sick. Now, that's not to say that everyone is utterly evil in every part of their life, but it is to say that we're not perfect, that we're flawed. We make mistakes. We act in our own self-interests. I mean, look at the news if you want evidence that we are flawed people. Or listen to the dour assessment of Robert Burns. Many and sharp the numerous ills inwoven in our frame. More pointed still, we make ourselves regret, remorse and shame. And man, whose heaven-erected face the smiles of love adorn, man's inhumanity to man makes countless thousands mourn. So what to do? What do we do in response to all of this? Well, Jeremiah's answer is simple. Seek better soil. Place your trust not in barren soil, in the parched places, but rather in the rich, well-watered soil of God. Draw upon the deep, eternal nutrients of the divine. But how? Well, let me give you a good Anglican answer to that. Cranmer, when the Book of Common Prayer was being drawn up, and those who succeeded him were coming up with a liturgy, coming up with a framework for everyone to use. And it was there so that you would read and that you would pray every day. It is a structure of prayers and readings to punctuate your daily life. The home, all that is around you, is to be like a church. And as you follow that routine of daily prayer and the cycle of readings, it goes down and down within you, and your roots go down and down to God. Now, you may not like the Book of Common Prayer, but the principle remains. If you mark a daily pattern of prayer and reading from the Bible, bit by bit, day by day, then you'd find in that ordinary way your roots will go down further into God, that you will be better watered, that you will flourish. So the question is simply this: where is your trust? Where are your roots? Beware placing your trust in anything fallible, but rather trust in God. Life needs a solid foundation if you are to weather the storms that come your way. And there is no more solid foundation than the eternal God Himself.